Today we get to talk about everybody's favorite topic, and that is the weekly meeting. Now, I know what you're thinking. I've been in death by meeting as well, where everybody talks about something, there's kind of an agenda, but there's no real clear action items that come out of it. We're not going to do any of that today. And in fact, in school, one of the classes that I had to take was about Robert's Rules of Order. And the book was about this thick and packed with all these parliamentary rules about how a meeting is supposed to run, which I guess is good if you're a government, but terrible if you're a very small business. So let's throw that out and we're going to talk about the weekly meeting. Now, here's why we do a weekly meeting. Number one, if this is your business, most of your time is spent in the business, right? You're working and you're putting out fires and you're doing all the things that need to get done to make the business run. That's working in the business. I challenge you that we need to work on the business as well, where we look at this from the outside and we look down on the business and say, what are the most important things that we need to do to move the business forward? Not just get the work done. The other reason is that we all procrastinate, myself included. And if we have a distinct timeline of when we need to get something done, we wait until about the last possible second to do it. I don't know if I'm the only one. But here's what happens, is that let's say that it's every month that we have a meeting. Well, we're going to wait until a couple days before the meeting happens, and then boom, we're going to get the to-do done. So I just challenge people, instead of doing that every month or every year, when you set a to-do and you do it in a weekly cadence, you increase the frequency of getting things done. And with that being a weekly cadence, it moves the business forward in a much more sustainable way. So let's dive into the structure of how the meeting actually is run. The meeting needs to happen at the same time on the same day every week. And there are two reasons for missing the meeting. Number one is that you're on vacation, and the other reason is that you're dead. Okay, it's not that extreme, but we want to show that it is very, very important that people are at the meeting. So every meeting is 90 minutes long, and here's the format that we use. The first 5 minutes is checking in from working in the business to on the business, and it transitions everybody's state of mind to say that, hey, now we're meeting. The second thing is that we report in on our goals. I'm not going to spend time here talking about that. There's another video for that. But this is where we have the specific milestones with the due dates assigned. And if we are on track with that goal, we just report that we're on track. If we're off track, we don't spend time discussing it. We just say that we're off track, and that off track goal moves into an issue. The next component is metrics. Metrics are the scoreboard that lets us know if we're winning or not. And if the numbers are on track, leave them alone. If those numbers are flagged red or they're off track, you move them into an issue. The next component is headlines. The headlines are just information, not necessarily issues, but you want to increase communication and let the team know what's going on your team or with you individually. The last piece before we go into the issues list is the to-dos. Like we talked about, we get into that meeting cadence and we assign ourselves to-dos to move the company forward, and we are reporting if we are done or not done with that to-do. And then finally, we get into the issues list. And the way that we handle the issues list is this. Let's say that we have 20 items on the issues list. And of those 20 items, what are the top 3 things that need to be discussed? There's always going to be a lot of issues on the list, but what are the top 3? What are the 3 most important things that you want to talk about? You assign those top 3 first. The next thing you do is you get to the bottom of the issue. I call this the 3 R's. You realize you already have it on the list. You've admitted that there's an issue. You realize, you get to the root, and you get to the root by asking the why question. I call it the 5 whys. You ask why, and you get to the root of what is actually going on here, and what is the root so that this doesn't come up again. And then the last component of the 3 R's, realize, root, the third one is resolve. You resolve the issue. And that usually comes in the form of a to-do or potentially a long-term issue. So for example, if it's a to-do, there's a discussion that you need to have with a team member. There is a piece of equipment that you need to go investigate. There's a piece of software you need to look at. Those are all to-dos that can happen within a week. But if it's a bigger issue and you know that you probably need to assign that to a goal, it's going to take many, many weeks to get it done, those can become long-term issues and you discuss them at your quarterly meeting. And in my experience, issues come from one of 2 of those places. It's either a team problem, there's somebody on the team that isn't performing the way they need to, or they're not a core value fit, or you have a process problem. And that process problem is either that someone didn't follow the process, or there isn't a process to follow. And so we need to create a process for that. Once we've gone through this issues list and you've solved the top 3, you assign the next top 3. And you do that until you run out of time. 5 minutes before the 90 minutes is up is when you move to the last section, and this is where you just wrap it up. You're going over the to-do list, making sure that everybody understands what their to-dos are. You're then seeing if there's any pertinent information that needs to get passed to different members of the team or different teams in general. And then finally, you're just rating the meeting. How'd we do? And we do that usually on a 1 to 10 scale. Anybody that rates the meeting less than a 7, we want to know why. Why was the meeting not productive? Or why was it not the best meeting that we could possibly have? Because again, the goal of the meeting is to help move the company forward. And in my experience, this meeting is the focal point of the company because all the to-dos are assigned out of here are moving the company forward. It is also reporting in on the metrics and making sure the company's on track. It's also where you're saying, these are the most important things that we need to do. Here's the milestones, and are we moving towards those goals that we set for ourselves? And if you want to see the exact template, agenda, and how we do these meetings, click on the link below. We'll be happy to email it to you.